Today's lesson is AI art, renaissance or threat. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
Hello, I'm Kiki.
And we seem to be hearing a lot about AI these days, artificial intelligence. And of course, a lot of people feel threatened by it. It might take away a lot of people's jobs. What are we going to do if we lose our job to AI? Well, that is a concern, especially to artists who rely on doing illustrations and paintings and things like that. But now we've got AI art. Is it a threat or is it a renaissance? Is it a new rebirth?
To be honest, this is something kind of confusing to me. Recently, we've been seeing a lot of AI art online, and sometimes I really don't understand how it happens.
Yeah, I guess you have to understand the software and you have to enter some information or something like that in order for the program to produce a work of art. My daughter is studying illustration and she doesn't seem to be too concerned about it, at least not now, because it kind of looks artificial. It doesn't look real to her, but who knows, there may be improvements in the future.
But my main question is, why do we need AI art?
It's a good question, but of course, everybody's trying to do this stuff to make some money, to make a living, so that's what we're going to talk about today. AI art. Is it a renaissance or is it a threat? So let's begin by listening to the first part of our lesson, and we'll come right back to discuss it.
AI art, renaissance or threat? Artists and controversy often go hand in hand, and indeed, in the last few years, a group of new artists has been causing quite a stir in the art world. However, these new artists are not flesh and blood. In fact, they are artificial intelligences, AIs, capable of generating new artwork on par with that produced by human artists. But while some are hailing these AIs as the pioneers of a new renaissance, others believe they're not only unethical, but, worse yet, signal the death of human-created art.
大家好，第一部分我们来介绍名词 controversy， 它的意思是争议或是争论。例如 The politician's speech caused a lot of controversy among the public. 那位政治人物的演说在公众中引起了很多的争议。另外补充这个字的形容词 controversial， C-O-N-T-R-O-V-E-R-S-I-A-L controversial， 它指的是有争议的或是引起争议的。举例来说Justine was banned from Twitter after making a number of controversial comments. Justine 在发表一些争议性的留言后被推特封锁。再举一个例子 The controversial film was banned in several countries. 那部争议性的电影在好几个国家被禁播。再来我们看到动词 generate， 它的意思是产生或是引起。例如 The film's trailer generated considerable interest among the public. 那部电影的预告片引起了大众相当大的兴趣。下一个我们看到动词 hail， 意思是赞扬或是称颂。例如 The newspaper hailed the firefighter as a hero. 报纸盛赞那位消防员是个英雄。或是 People hailed the new drug as a miracle cure. 人们赞誉这种新药为奇迹解方。接下来我们看到单字 pioneer，它是名词，指的是先驱、先锋或是开拓者。例如 Linda felt honored to be a pioneer in changing the country's healthcare system. Linda 因成为改变该国医疗保健系统的先驱而感到荣幸。又或者说 Dr. Schneider was a pioneer in the field of animal behavior, and she has written many books about it. Schneider 博士是动物行为学领域的先驱，他写了很多相关书籍。另外，这个字也可以当作动词，它有成为先驱或是开创的意思。例如 The research facility pioneered several new treatments for cancer. 那个研究机构开创了多项癌症新疗法。或是 The medical technique was pioneered during the 1950s. 这项医疗技术是在1950年代开创的。最后我们看到形容词 unethical， 指的是不道德的或是不符合伦理的。举例来说It would be unethical to reveal what my client and I discussed. 透露我和客户所讨论的内容是不道德的。另外，去掉这个字的字首 un， 就会变成反义形容词 ethical， 意思就会是伦理的或是合乎道德的。例如 The geneticist's research raised the number of ethical questions. 这名遗传学家的研究引起一些道德方面的质疑。最后一个例子 Simon was disciplined by his school after not using ethical methods in the experiment. Simon 因为在实验中没有用符合道德的方法而被学校惩处。
Now, in the title of today's article, of course, we've got AI art, artificial intelligence art. Is it a renaissance or a threat? Now, Renaissance, that usually refers to the period of history between the 14th and the 16th centuries when there was a rebirth in art and architecture and music and things like that. So that was a renaissance. A threat, of course, is something that could cause you trouble in the future. If somebody has made you angry, you could threaten them or give them a threat. If you do that again, I'm going to tell your mommy.
And sometimes a threat, you can also feel threatened by the way somebody looks or by something somebody says. So in this case, is AI art going to threaten the existence of artists? And artists and controversy, they often go hand in hand. So we know that in history, a lot of times, including Leonardo da Vinci, he was a great artist, but he really caused a lot of trouble, didn't he?
He certainly did. And that's a topic for another day. That's a big subject there. But if something goes hand in hand, they're usually very closely related. They act together. And yes, indeed, artists often create paintings that are controversial. That's the adjective form of controversy. That's when you have a particular issue that people have strong opinions about that are opposite. Some people support it. Some people are against it. Like abortion in the United States is controversial, or gun control in the U.S. is controversial. And of course, here in Taiwan, you've got your own controversies.
And the reason why artists and controversy go hand in hand, because often artists, what they produce usually reflect what is happening in our society. So that is why when something goes hand in hand, it's usually when you see something and you directly think about another thing and you relate them right away.
A recent example is the Statue of David, I believe, that caused some controversy in the USA. Some people thought, oh, you can't show a naked man like that. That is obscene. That's awful. Well, other people thought, no, it's a work of art. Don't be such a prude. But in any case here, we've got a group of new artists, and this group has been causing quite a stir in the art world. If you cause a stir, or if you create a stir, if you create a commotion, that means you're just causing trouble because of what you're doing.
However, these new artists are not flesh and blood. So they're not human beings like you and I. So flesh and blood is when you are living, breathing human beings. You have flesh. Flesh is the meat on our bodies. And blood is the blood that's rushing through our veins that make us who we are.
Exactly. So if you talk about something flesh and blood, of course, you're talking about people or living things. In fact, again, they are artificial intelligences capable of generating new artwork on par with that produced by human artists. So that's AI, artificial intelligence. Our writer is treating this as a countable noun, artificial intelligences or forms of artificial intelligence, which is AIs, and they are capable of creating or generating new artwork. If you generate something, you create it. For example, we always need to find new ways to generate electricity because we're running out of fossil fuels or nuclear power is too dangerous. We need to generate energy using different forms. And we've got this artwork that is on par with artwork that is produced by humans. If something's on par with something, that means it's at the same level.
And do you feel like these artificial intelligence, they are creating art that is on the same level as humans?
Well, it's kind of too early to tell, but you never know. In the future, people might not be able to tell the difference between something created by a person and something created by an algorithm or a software program. So moving on here to the next sentence, it says, but while some are hailing these AIs as the pioneers of a new renaissance, others believe they're not only unethical, but worse yet, or even worse, they might signal the death of human-created art. So if you're a pioneer, that means you're like the first person to do something or the first person to go someplace. We talk about the pioneers in the American West. They went out and settled these lands out west. Actually, they basically took them away from the people who were already living there. But in this particular case, we've got people who are trying new things with AI. We're calling them the pioneers of AI. And not the people, but the programs, of course, and also the people who design those programs. And they're thinking it's a new renaissance. Don't be scared. It's a great idea. We're going to see things that we've never seen before. And these people are hailing these AIs as the pioneers of a new renaissance. So here we've got the word hailing, and that's from the verb to hail, which means you celebrate something, you announce that something is really good, or you recognize the achievement of somebody. You could hail the new president as the greatest president who's ever lived. But in this particular case, a lot of people are just saying that AI, well, that's a great new pioneer. It's going to change things for the better. Don't be scared of it. They're hailing AI as the pioneers of a new renaissance.
So, of course, the people around AI technology or AI art, of course, they're going to say that this is a new renaissance or a rebirth of art. But there's other people that are on the opposite end of this. Others believe they're not only unethical, but worse yet, signal the death of human-created art. So there are people out there that believe that the production of AI art, it's unethical. So when something is unethical, it means it's not right. It's not the principle of it, the core belief of it is just wrong.
Exactly. So we've got the word unethical here, and that's similar to immoral. If it's unethical or ethical, it has to do how you do things in your profession. And in this particular case, we're talking about the profession of creating artificial art using AI. So some people say, no, it's unethical. We should not be doing this. We should respect the work of human artists. And worse yet, even worse, it might signal the death. It might bring about the death of human-created art. No one will be able to make a living as an artist anymore. What are they going to do now? They've wasted, 5, 6 years studying art at the university and going to graduate school. And now AI is just going to create all the art that they were going to in the first place. What are they going to do now? Are they going to have to switch careers? It's too early to tell. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Let's move on now to the second part. We'll listen first.
To train an AI image generator, developers first need a dataset. Typically, this is made up of billions of images harvested from across the internet, along with a text description of what each image shows. The AI is then taught during the training process to make connections between key elements in an image and its description. After being trained, the AI can be given a text prompt, say, a frog playing the piano, and then almost immediately generate an original image matching that description.
Okay, so you might be wondering how this actually works. How can you get a computer to create AI art? Well, to train an AI image generator, developers first need a data set. So a generator, of course, is something that generates something or creates something. And in order for an AI image to be generated, the developers or the programmers need a data set, which is basically a whole bunch of information.
Right. And even now on your phone app, you can download apps where you have to pay, by the way. You have to pay in order to give them your data set. So you have to give them at least 100 pictures of yourself, and then the AI will produce lots of really interesting images of you in different situations. I've had some friends, they've actually tried this, and it's pretty amazing to see the images that are created.
Right. I think some people have played with this before. I think there are some platforms online where you can enter some information. I want to see Joe Biden wrestling with Donald Trump or something, and then the computer will create an image for you, and it might look pretty convincing, or it might look a little silly. Again, this technology is in its infancy. It's just starting out, but who knows what it's going to do in the future. So again, you do need that data set.
So typically, this is made up of billions of images harvested from across the internet, along with a text description of what each image shows. So in this collection of data, in this set of data, you need to have more images. They need to harvest, they need to collect all these different types of images so that the AI program can put together this new image.
So basically, I guess they have access to all these images on the internet that people have happily posted over the last several years, and you can harvest those images from the internet. Interesting, we're using the word harvest here. That usually refers to the time in the fall when farmers go out into their fields and bring all the food in. That's the harvest. And the verb, of course, is to harvest, to bring in all that food, the corn, the rice, the wheat, or whatever. And they get all these images from various places in the internet.
And with the text description of what each image shows, it helps these AI generators use keywords to find these images, and that way they can use keywords to create their new image.
Exactly. So that's what's happening. That's how AI works. And the AI is then taught during the training process to make connections between key elements in an image and its description. So yes, indeed, programmers or developers tell the computer what to do. They need to make connections between these different elements. They need to find the relationship between them, and then they create an image based on that description, or they even provide a description itself. And after being trained, the AI can be given a text prompt, say, a frog playing the piano, and then almost immediately generate an original image matching that description. So we've got this prompt here, which is like a suggestion. We always use prompts in computer programs. We just enter a little bit of information or give it a suggestion, and then we push the enter sign or we click on go, and then it produces a result for us.
And sometimes you can prompt someone to say something, or you can help remind them that, for example, maybe they're on a TV show and you prompt them to bring up a certain topic during a news program. So you can prompt someone to say something.
Right. Or maybe the local crime wave has prompted the government to take action against crime. It's caused them to do something. And again, this is an example here. We got a frog playing the piano. And then, of course, your program will quickly generate lots of pictures depicting that very scene, a frog playing the piano. And you might actually be able to specify what type of frog it is, a bullfrog or whatever. Okay, let's move on now to the third and final part of our lesson. We'll listen first.
What's more, the results can be so impressive that they win prizes. In 2022, for example, a piece of AI-generated art won the top prize in the Colorado State Fair's Fine Arts competition.
Okay, what's more, or even more than what we've described above, the results can be so impressive that they win prizes. I heard about this. There has been an example of AI actually winning an art competition. Last year in 2022, for example, a piece of AI-generated art won the top prize in the Colorado State Fair's Fine Arts competition. Yeah, I heard about that. That happened in the U.S. state of Colorado. Somebody produced an artificial image and it actually won the contest. Imagine how that made the people who got second or third place in that contest. They were actually beaten by a computer program.
I think it's kind of a shame because when you think of fine arts, it's art that's created very finely, very precisely, that came out from the hands of a human being. And the fact that human artists had to go against this AI, this computer-generated art, I think it hurts these artists.
It does indeed. But we've got more to discuss on this very topic in our program next time. Right now, we're going to hear from Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分最后一句提到 尽管有些人把人工智慧誉为新文艺复兴的先驱，有些人却认为他们不止不符合伦理，而且更糟的是预示着人类创作艺术的死亡。好，那文中他用到 worse yet 来表达更糟的是，它就跟 worse still 或者是 even worse 意思相同。另外要介绍的是 some others 这是在没有限定范围的人事物里面去列举出两种群体的状况，表达有些怎么样，有些怎么样。那我们也可以把 some 和 other 当作形容词用，把它写作 some 名词other 名词为了避免重复名词，后面这个 other 名词常常会用代名词 others 来做取代。举例来说 Some people love horror movies while others don't. 有些人爱看恐怖片，而有些人不爱。那句子里面这个代名词 others 就是用来代替 other people， 以避免重复。好，那课文第二部分提到说，要训练 AI 图像生成器，开发人员首先需要一个数据集。那通常它就是由从网络上收集的数十亿张图像，以及每一张图像所显示的文本描述所组成的。文中是用 be made up of 来表达由什么什么组成。我们就来整理一下表达组成构成的几种方式。第一种呢，就是用片语 make up， 那它的主动用法是用部分加 make up 加上整体。文中是用被动用法整体加上 be made up of 再加部分。好，举例来说 The book is made up of 10 chapters， 那本书是由10个章节所组成的。第二个呢，我们可以用动词 compose 来表达组成构成，那它的用法就会跟 make up 相同，一样有分成主动和被动的句型，我们就可以用部分 compose 整体，或者是整体 be composed of 加上部分。好，再看到第三个呢，我们可以用 consist of 来表达，那它的用法呢是整体加上 consist of 加上部分，要特别注意它不能用被动语态表示哦。举例来说 The band consists of 5 talented musicians， 那个乐团是由5位很有才华的乐手所组成的。好，再看到第四个表达方式是用动词 comprise 来表达，那它的句型有两种，一种呢是可以用整体加上 comprise 或者是 be comprised of加上部分，另一种呢是用部分加上 comprise 加上整体。好，举例来说 The album comprises 10 tracks， 那张专辑是由10首歌曲所组成的。好，以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天单字吧。
Controversy. The new policy caused controversy among the students at the university. Generate.The improved car battery generates enough electricity to travel 400 kilometers on a single charge. Hail. Reviews are hailing the director's latest film as his best yet. Pioneer. Steve Jobs was one of the pioneers in the field of personal computers. Unethical. Government authorities are suing the company over its unethical business practices. Prompt.Carla entered a prompt on her computer to start the program.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Kiki.
See you next time.